Yeah, friends, things are finally starting to look really, really good around here again. Altcoins are performing. Bitcoin dominance has dropped a bit. People are already calling for the next altcoin season. That's a bit exaggerated. You should be aware of that. But I mean, in comparison, Ethereum has massively outperformed Bitcoin. And the strength we're seeing right now is astonishingly beautiful. But now let's take a look at how sustainable all of this is and see how high we can go from here. How long can this whole thing last? And I can even show you this mathematically. Then we'll take a look at this bull run. Let's compare this bull run here with the bull run from the last cycle. In the last cycle, the bull run was bam, 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 just a really massive bull run. In 2017, the bull run also had to happen all in one go. This time, it's not like that. You can see that this bull run is definitely different. Here, we have these stepwise increases. I mean, just look at this. Here we have the rise. Long correction phases. Here it corrects, then the next step up. That's just how I would describe it now. And then here as well, over 3 or 4 months, there were only corrective phases. So you can see this cycle is unfolding a bit differently. It's progressing up, yeah, I would say, in steps. We're building up here piece by piece, but not all at once. That's already a major difference. Of course, this is also due to market psychology, because the market makers can't make it as easy for people as they did in the past. We can't just pump straight up anymore. Now we actually need these phases. This is also good for the market makers because it allows them to extract significantly more money from the market in the long run. And that's really the reason why this cycle is stretching out so much. The market makers can extract even more money here. I mean, just take a look at the Bitcoin futures open interest. The open interest is almost at an all-time high again, and it's 3 times higher than it was in the previous cycle. That means the exchanges and the market makers are currently making a lot of money during these times. That's also the reason why they're stretching out the cycle as much as possible. The more money exchanges, the big whales, market makers, BlackRock, and so on can make. They want to stretch out this crypto bull run as much as possible, and that's why we keep seeing these long periods of stagnation. That's a major difference compared to the previous cycle. But what we're seeing now is that every time we test the 50 moving average, we've had a really nice upward trend. Even in the 2021 cycle, when we tested it back then, the bull run started right away. But back then, as I said, it didn't happen in steps. But even after the big summer correction, we tested it here again and had one last upward trend. Right now, in this cycle, you can clearly see that every time we test the 50 EMA, we get another really strong upward trend. A really, really beautiful upward trend. And in comparison, I'll also show you how this upward trend is developing. Let's take a look at it. Up to this point, the upward trend lasted over 180 days. I'd say let's start here and go up to here. Yeah, let's say that was the top. Also almost 180 days and over 113%. So you can already see where I'm going with this. Every time we've tested this, we've had a really strong upward trend for about 4 or 5 months and reached the top after around 180 or 170 days. The first time, we made even more percentage gains. After testing it, we achieved almost 200%. Here, it was only 113%, but that's still pretty solid. If we now replicate that on our chart, it would mean that we could also be heading toward $150,000, if not even higher. And that would mean the Bitcoin top would be in October or September of this year. Timing-wise, that also fits pretty well. According to time and data, we should see our bull run top around September or October. It would definitely fit in terms of timing, and that would mean yes, we're really in the final banana zone now and could actually experience one last upward trend. At least if you compare it with this indicator here, because as you can see, every time after testing it, we've really reached the next level. We've seen another strong upward trend lasting for months, and that was just, yeah, a really solid phase. In terms of price targets, that would also fit with the price targets that the P-cycle top indicator shows us. The P-cycle top indicator has signaled the top every time. Yes, Yunus, what? And in this cycle, we would have to rise to at least $150,000. According to my calculations, we would reach that in the next 4, 5, or 6 months. It's extremely crazy, and I think you should definitely keep this chart in the back of your mind, especially since it has been pretty accurate so far. And the crazy thing is, if this actually happens and we really pump through the summer, no one would expect it. Everyone is currently expecting a summer slump. That would really be reverse psychology again, and it would be the exact opposite of what the market is expecting here. I mean, that's just one possibility. It could also be that we go up briefly now, drop down again, and then rise once more. Anything is possible. I'm totally with you on that. But I mean, I'm just showing you this based on this indicator. And this indicator has always been right so far in this cycle and has signaled the bottom for us every time. And after that, we had a big upward trend. But that's also what I've been showing you over the past few weeks. Besides, this big upward trend mainly came about because of the M2 money supply. The M2 money supply has risen sharply, and we're finally following that now, after a 12-week delay. What's also interesting is that if you look purely at the M2 money supply, we should actually be seeing Bitcoin price targets of $150,000 to $160,000 at the current level, but that could definitely increase significantly in the coming months. What is absolutely clear is that we're in the banana zone, and the next few months are going to be incredibly interesting. What you should keep in mind is that on July 8th, the tariff pause will come to an end. I could imagine that someone like Trump might pull a few stunts and maybe announce again, yeah, we're going to impose tariffs here and there, which could temporarily push the markets down a bit during the summer lull for a few weeks, but only briefly, and then we might see the final run in Q4 or Q3 2025. The thing is, what's really noticeable right now is that we're seeing money flowing out of gold and into crypto. That's happening also because the US is slowly becoming less uncertain, and people are gradually regaining confidence because, I mean, they only invested in gold because gold is simply that recession hedge. Apparently, though, the biggest part of this has already happened, and that's why money is slowly being rotated out of gold. Still, the dollar is quite weak, but that's actually a good thing because it makes people more willing to take risks. As a result, people are investing more money in risk assets again. This is also happening because the dollar is so weak, and the weaker it gets in the near future, the better it will be for the markets. But what you should know about the current market situation is, take a look at this social metric here. What we see now is simply that we don't have retail on the market yet, not by a long shot. We are far from having retail investors in the market here. You should be aware of that. That means even if you think, hey, we've already seen the top. No, definitely not. There's still plenty of room to the upside here. As soon as we really get 2 or 3 times more retail investors involved, things will get really interesting. But that only happens in this final run, which might be coming up in the next few months. In any case, be careful. But don't immediately fall into FOMO either. Bitcoin has risen very sharply, but since this surge, we haven't had a proper correction. We need a proper correction here as well. But it could also happen that we first go up to $110,000 and only then have a correction before continuing to rise. But a correction is becoming overdue. But here too, we can look at the past. In the last upward trends, we also didn't have a major correction. It went up all at once. And then we first had this stagnation phase, plus a correction, and after that, it continued upward. This run is definitely a bit different, but you need to understand how this run works. And it's looking better and better. Still, don't fall into FOMO. We still have the summer months ahead of us, which generally tend to perform worse. Feel free to write your predictions in the comments about what you expect for the next weeks and months. I've also drawn out 3 scenarios here. On the one hand, that we correct now, then experience this last upward trend until the end of the year, and then, yes, rise towards $150,000 for Bitcoin or even higher. Or that we basically experience a completely euphoric bull run now with only very minor interim corrections here, but no significant correction. That would be plan B or plan C, where we basically rise towards $120,000 and then transition into a bear market. I would definitely be interested to know what you think. And at this point, thank you very much, friends, for watching. Feel free to leave a like and a comment on the video. See you next time, friends. Bye.